It's Offside with Hawes and McGuire.
Right. Hey, welcome to Offside with Hawes and McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire.
And we've already been opened. So, this episode, we are going to talk about... Oh, yeah, he's drinking his Molson X. Proudly Canada's beer since 1786.
X since 1903.
And X has been his beer since 1903.
Yeah.
He was actually a glint in his father's eye, pounding back the X. So we're going to talk about free agency and talk about salary caps. We're going to talk about where we think people are going to go, what's happening. And it's been a very busy free agency. We've had one Record setting. So, and I'm going to say that, and I'm going to open this up with, because as we start talking about signings and trades and all these blockbuster deals that are going on, it brings up something that has been driving me nuts.
Yep.
Okay? Is they talk about all these different free agents. There's group 1, group 2. There's the group of 7. Okay? Like apparently Toronto's going to sign Tom Thompson as a group of 7 artists for the league. What are all the groups? Group 7, 6. They have all these rules. He's 23-year-old with a broken foot. That's a whole group on their own. Like, what the fuck? Why can't they just be simple?
I guess legalities in terms of how, when they decided over the years, has free agency started to become a thing in the mid-1970s. And players like Marcel Dion was one of the first guys to move to a team that wasn't a trade. And so compensation had to be offered for him, which I believe was Dan Maloney and Bart Crashley. And I think somebody else.
Bart Crashley. Doesn't that sound like a great name? I've never heard that name. That's a great name.
And the guy had, he was a defenseman and he had some promise. It didn't really pan out for him, but Dan Maloney
his name was Bart Crashley.
I know
like he was destined for failure.
It should have been in a Nick Nolte movie or something. But anyway. That kind of started the ball rolling, and at that point the NHL started to work and rework their constitution and their collective bargaining agreement, such as it was then, to include how and when and how you qualify players and how you disseminate it and how you determine who's who. And now it's at a point where you really need a forget about a tutorial.
Oh no!
You need to take
a playbook. You need a constant.
So the group.
What's the yardage on this one?
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, you need a rangefinder. And try and gun down your yardage on this. It can be incredibly complicated, but the two most basic ones are your restricted free agents and your unrestricted free agents. When you get into group 6s and group beyond 3s, these are free agents that have a different number of criteria in terms of seasons, age, or games played, which makes them eligible for the numerical classification that they have.
And
did you follow all that?
Nah, it means nothing to me. It sounded like, honestly, like there's some sort of algebraic equation that's going to be.
I know, but there isn't. There. But it is crazy. I would say on average there isn't 2% of the average fan that is delving into all of the ramifications of where, other than maybe on your own team that you cheer for.
Right.
Some people maybe are delving into a little bit more, okay, why is this guy not eligible for arbitration? Or why is this guy not eligible? Like, how come we don't have to give this guy a qualifying offer? Right? That sort of thing here in Ottawa.
Well, that's going to bring up DeBrincat. Exactly. Yeah. First of all, what the fuck is the matter with this kid? Like, honestly, is it the kid or is it the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Jackson is it Phil Jackson, I think, is his agent? I'm not positive.
It's not Sam Jackson, that's for sure.
No, it definitely isn't.
You know what I mean?
No, it's not.
Because he'd
Samuel
make him sign,
Jackson.
motherfucker.
That's right, he would. I'd go write Pulp Fiction on his ass, man. You know what? It's pretty weird to hear somebody, especially has spent any time here, say they don't want to be here. And unless you're living under a rock as a hockey fan, and you are not understanding how this team is potentially on the verge of
they've got some great talent.
Some pretty unique stuff. I mean, they've got the 3 stalwarts on D, notwithstanding Shabbat needs to come back to where he was. You've got the forward core led by Stützle, who's just an absolute superstar already.
And you know
one
what?
of the best
And I will
captains
say
to bring
this.
to Chuck. Norris coming back.
Not often that I'm going to compliment the Germans, but I will compliment him.
There you go. Yeah.
I just want to say that I'm not becoming like Don Cherry was with the Swedes or anything like that.
Right.
But you know the Germans, they started a war a long time ago.
Yeah, maybe two.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, I'm just being a dick. I don't know.
Those guys are thankfully long past that, as we all know.
Yeah.
But you know what? Their entire program has improved in leaps and bounds, and guys like Draisaitl, who's older, and is goes back even to Marco Sturm in San Jose. He was kind of sort of the new wave. You want to say Yui Krupp in the '90s? There's a few guys, right? But I mean, Stützle is the new wave that represents that, and he is an absolute superstar.
Beautiful hockey player.
Yeah,
and
he really is.
Hands, speed, and finish.
I don't know why DeBrincat doesn't want to be here.
I don't. So it's got to be just.
No, he's American.
He is American.
So, Chris, like I just worked in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, and so I wasn't right in the city. I was in a suburb. Beautiful home, the fantastic people, welcoming hosts. We had a fantastic gig. I'll probably go back. It sounds like they'd like me to come back. My God, though, I would never live there.
Yeah, why not?
Well, it's just the feel. It's just a feel. It's really, really hard to describe, but. And I have not done 1/10 of the traveling that you and your wife have, but it's just a feel, man. I'm probably too old, too stick in the mud, and just too conditioned to just feel Canada as soon as I'm in the country. But
what? I will say this: there is a feel that you get in Canada, and there's a significant amount of, and please don't take this the wrong way, complacency that we have here in Canada.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what? It is what it is. That mentality permeates Canada. Whereas in the United States, and I think this whole Bud Light thing is a prime example of it, right?
Yeah.
Is that we're gonna push back. Like we don't take shit. We've gone too far. We're pushing back.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether I'm not getting into the reasoning behind it. They just said they drew a line. They said, "Fuck that. We're not drinking your beer anymore."
Yeah.
Because we drank your beer. We liked it because it was cheap and it didn't get us drunk. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But now we've moved on. We'll find something else.
Yeah.
Because we don't need it. We don't need to be told ideologically how to live.
Yeah.
Whereas Canadians,
we have to accept everything.
We accept everything.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, it creates a different. There's a much more intense feel in the United States than there is in Canada.
Boy,
but I don't say that's a bad thing.
No, it's not. And first of all, that's a really good point. And I just finished telling good friends of mine about the difference speaking in the States as opposed to speaking in Canada, where this is a crowd that obviously didn't know me.
Right.
So, and I do my thing, and they are so appreciative of anybody who is good at their craft. Yeah. If somebody had stood up there and said, "I am the greatest small engine mechanic in the world, and I'm going to take apart this engine and show you how I can rebuild it in 8.9 minutes, and this is why this and this and this," or do anything at all, right? Could be anything at all. But if you show that to Americans, they are unabashed in their appreciation.
Absolutely.
Whereas in Canada, that is, we're more reserved that way.
Oh, more reserved. Try to be an entertainer in Canada.
Yeah.
Why do you think everybody leaves to go and make it in the United States?
Well,
and then we go, you say, you know what?
Yeah.
Now we like this guy. He's famous. We're very proud of him because he's a Canadian. But at the end of the day, Howie Mandel was nothing until he went to the States.
Yeah.
Russell, frankly, was nothing. Okay? I mean, he owes his fame to YouTube and somebody putting up his special. But the fact of the matter is he's made his life and his living and everything in the United States. We don't like stardom in Canada.
No, they pull you by your ankles and pull you down. When I was referring to living,
it's so hard on me, Liam.
It's Well, hey, listen. If I was to go back and do it over again, how do you think? What do you think me?
No, you'd be in
like,
the States.
You'd
have to go.
I never made it, right? I never made it to Hockey Night. I was a guest on Hockey Night in Canada, but I mean, there's people say to me all the time, "Oh, you could have replaced Don Cherry, or you should have a segment. You should have this. You should have that." I did 42 shows on Michael Landsberg's Off the Record. Like, there was no springboard of that into any type of full-time work.
That's because
if
there's
I go
nothing
back
in Canada.
Well, it's not just that there's nothing, but it's that they just don't look at a guy like me who, had this incident on TSN in 1999 and got absolutely ripped apart by Canadian media, whereas Jim Rome has a somewhat similar type incident, ironically also with a football player, and he gets put on, he just jumps into stardom. If I was to go back and coming out of college in 1983, again, I would have probably made more of a push or a try or somewhere to get into the States.
Absolutely.
And get into hockey in the States or something. Had I, this is a little hindsight thing, because it's, and I'm just one tiny little guy that maybe at the end of the day, look, I didn't have what was their requirements that they were looking for at the time. I'll be the first to be honest and admit that. But I do think at different times,
you know what?
it was a shot
I disagree, because here's the thing. The one thing that even people around the Ottawa area who know you, okay? But let's just say, but the United States, and this is what I see, like you said, they appreciate somebody who is an expert.
Yeah.
And they don't mind somebody who's cocky about it either.
No, they don't.
As long as you can walk the walk.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you can talk the talk.
Oh yeah, you stand up there and bomb.
Yeah. No, it's not gonna. But if you go up there and you deliver, and they go, wow, and they respect and appreciate anybody who is a, I'm gonna say, an elite athlete. Whether it's a broadcasting athlete, or whatever it is, their whole culture, and this is, you'll call it the paramilitaristic culture, whatever you want to do it. They appreciate excellence.
Yeah.
They applaud it. They support it. I mean, Christ, there are high schools in. Have you ever gone to Ogdensburg, New York? Have you seen the high school football field in Ogdensburg?
We just drove through Detroit,
that,
South Detroit, wherever we were, Chris. I'm telling you, it was unfreaking believable. We're on these side streets. We're just in a suburb of Detroit, and the schools, the fields, the ball diamonds, the football fields. It's incredible.
And that's all private
Absolutely
money
incredible.
Of people going to support their thing. Do you think there's a Canadian who's going to, you know what? My high school needs a new baseball diamond. Okay, we're going to build them a baseball diamond. I'm going to put all the money in and do that. First of all, you wouldn't be allowed to, because the council would say, "Oh, you can't do that." That would be, you know what I mean? We have a culture here that I call it stick in the spokes. Anything that gets going and people, you get enthusiasm and anything like this, people go, we don't want that. We don't want anything. I mean, and you say it like, this whole Lansdowne thing. They want to develop downtown, right? Like the Lansdowne. And I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea. Build some more condos, get more people down there, make it an exciting, vibrant place, okay? Right. And do all that, okay? Well, people, we really don't want that. Like, we really like it's Ottawa South. We like you know what I mean? We take our kids to the old fire hall. Okay, and they learn to make putty.
Tulip Festival.
We have we have all these things, and it's like, come on, get with it. You've got an opportunity.
Escapade got fined, for noise.
Yeah, because it was so loud, right? Of course it was loud. I mean, like, here's the thing, like, there are moments that you like, and I get it, like, that nobody wants this constantly, and nobody wants things, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean? You got to start supporting your community and supporting the kids who are coming up. You know what? The poor friggin' athletes in Canada that are going through the system, okay, and they show promise. What do they get? I went when I was in school. There's a kid who was a few years younger, beautiful athlete, okay, Dean Noel. He did some time with the Ottawa Rough Riders back in the day, or maybe they were the Renegades at that time. But Dean, the touchdown machine.
I remember the name.
Okay, So Dean had been to Laurentian High School here, and then he went to Brookfield, and I played with him at Brookfield. But he was younger. He was like a kid, but I mean, he was incredible, right? Yeah. But anyways, if he was in the United States, that kid would have been given a great job, given a college scholarship, given the all the list of things. You know what I mean? He would have made it to the pros. He would have done. He would have developed. He would have all the things. Now that's not to say that he didn't opportunity, but every step of the way, the guy had to earn it himself.
Yeah.
And then the poor bastard blew out his knee.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that we don't do that. We don't support that. He doesn't have a state-of-the-art gym to work out in at his high school. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Chris, we have people. There are people in town. Member of your club. I won't say his last name because that's kind of but Jamie. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And his daughter is a world-class diver.
Right.
Right. You know that, and she scholarship to the United States.
Yeah.
Got to go to the States. I was just talking to a kid who came back. He's an assistant pro at a club, and he just came back from a golf scholarship in the United States.
Yeah.
We have to send our kids elsewhere to abroad because we're not supporting them here.
Yeah.
I mean, and I blame that alone on my golf game. That's the reason my golf game is the way it is.
Well, you hit some good shots.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, remember number 10? Number 10.
I remember number 10. That was a hell of a birdie.
That was a hell of a birdie. But yeah, my putting I could, honest to God, I brought, like as your buddy said, I brought the bunkers into play.
Yeah.
On my putting. Wow.
It was still a fun day though.
Oh, it was.
It was a fun day. But back to DeBrincat.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and I think everything we've just said, I think would be agreed upon by the majority, not everyone, but
right.
I think the majority. And I do think that you and I are in a position where we have been on stage with a microphone in hand. You in numerous places. I've been on both sides of this border, and and I've been doing this a long time. And I can tell you right now, if I was to turn the clock back, I would make them.
Yeah.
Of course, that is a hindsight. Everyone would love to be able to turn the clock back and do some things different. But I'm telling this as maybe one of the proudest Canadians that you'll ever hear speak. And I would have made a real big push to get down to the States, because the nature of what I did, plus a little rough around the edges for whatever, all the other things, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Fact is that I always, I may not have been as good a broadcaster as Jim Rome. He already had a very successful show.
Hang on. Let's be realistic here.
Well, I think
Let's be realistic.
I don't think there's anything special about him.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
He's got a distinct cadence and approach, but he does not suffer fools gladly. He runs his show with a bit of, not so much an iron fist, but kind of in terms of a talk show format. But his career, such as it is, which is now, he makes as more money than anybody doing the talk show circuit in the United States, sports, took off when he got into it with Jim Everett. And here's me in 1999 on a Monday night on TSN, which has been played ad nauseum. If I had $1 for every time that clip's been showing, I'd be able to have a lot of dollars. I'd have a lot of dollars. Yeah. And I got vilified in Canada.
Really?
Yeah. You should see some of the stuff that was written about me from Canadian media, not Joe Blow running into at the Mill Restaurant in Manotick or something like that, or the Red Dot in Osgood or whatever. It was
because you did not represent what we should be
as
Canadians.
I was too confrontational and I made an aggressive statement, and I'm grandstanding or whatever. Meanwhile, the guy took a shot at the Canadian flag. Speaking of Canada Day, and that's the way I took it, and I would take it still to this day, and it's 24 years ago, and I still take it that way. And whatever. I mean, Gene and I are fine now. I don't see him, but I hear he's saying nice things. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Point is,
well, it's because he's afraid. He knows that I got your back now.
Well, he's
very, very afraid.
Yeah. He's probably going, oh, you gotta call some more guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, the States approach things different, and DeBrincat, for whatever reason, doesn't matter what you and I think.
Right.
He doesn't want to be here.
Yeah. That's weird. I know. I find it hard to believe.
Doesn't want to be here.
But again, you know what? We discussed all those things, and I've convinced myself now that you're probably right. He doesn't want to be here.
Oh, he's made that quite apparent.
And you know what? And so to that end, I don't blame the guy then. Yeah. So here's where we got to trade him.
Yeah.
Someplace.
He's got a list.
Yeah, he's got a list, but you know what?
You can still move him.
You can move him anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I want to go here. Well, you know what? Go
Too
there.
bad, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's Arizona.
Well, actually, Arizona would be a great place for them, right? Or if do we have a franchise in South Texas? Can we find
Yes.
something? Are we putting a new team in Houston or something?
It
You should go someplace where Houston's a tough town. You're more likely to get killed in Houston
Yeah.
than almost any place in it's
don't-
crazy. It's a very tough town.
I didn't know that. But
Oklahoma City too is tough.
Yeah. I was
lots
told
of,
Newark, New Jersey is a tough spot too, and I know there's many of them in the States. I'm sure Chicago, I think, for years. But I mean, DeBrincat, it looked like to me on paper prior to the draft that the natural fit, like with Detroit.
right, because he's from there.
Well, yeah, but just with Stevie having a couple of picks, that they could have made something happen, because I think right now Ottawa's also trying to save, not so much face a little bit. I think at this point it's just let's get something for this guy.
Right.
You know, we gave up, a
lot,
a seventh overall and another high pick. I mean, you gave up to get this guy who then turns out and has 27 goals. Basically, the last third of the season disappeared. I think he'll be better this year.
Well, yeah, but if you look at him, he's had 1 year off, 1 year on.
No,
1
I
year
know.
off.
I know.
He's a guy. So, if there's such thing as a bipolar hockey player,
Yeah.
he is that, right?
But how much of that is a product of playing in an environment that he doesn't want to be in as well?
Well, that's true.
So,
That's true.
this is the unknown, that if he's asking
Yeah.
to go, and they have to
Yeah.
try and move him. But at the end of the day,
Is he married?
I don't
I
know.
don't think so.
I don't
He's
know.
got to meet a girl. If he meets a girl here, he'll stay.
Yeah,
Well,
there's no shortage there.
No shortage of
But
girls.
no shortage of girls in the Ottawa
No.
area.
No.
Beautiful women.
Apparently 6
But-
to every one guy.
This is what I
That's
hear.
what they say.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think
No.
that's the case.
I count every night.
And
I think
that's
they're
how-
off by one.
Actually, that's how I put myself to sleep. They're jumping over a fence, and I'm like,
Yeah.
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 Somehow I can't sleep.
So
at
many
night.
lines.
I can't sleep at night.
No, it's hard, literally. Yeah, you know what? If he goes, he goes. But Ottawa still, I think, made a great signing, despite they had to give him probably Cooper Salo more term than they wanted.
Yeah.
The money's no big deal at a year or two. But with his injury problems, and if he, in fact, falls into what seems to be what some have kind of called a goaltender graveyard
Here in
in
Ottawa?
Ottawa since Craig Anderson, then that will be...
Yeah, but Anderson bounced back in Buffalo. He had great time in Buffalo.
Well,
He played very well in Buffalo.
no. My
for
point is, he
franchise.
played well here.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, since him,
Oh, I see what you're
since
saying.
him, it's not been good with any
No.
with any level of consistency. So
No.
they're penciling him and Forsberg. It looks like right now.
Yeah.
I mean, look what Vegas did. So they give Aiden Hill. They signed him to 2 years, Chris. Like, that's absolutely perfect. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's absolutely perfect. And they wanted to reward him. So it's a 4.9 deal, but $4 million is a signing bonus.
Yeah.
And it's so he could get some cash right away.
Yeah.
You know, some big time cash
Yeah.
right away. Do some things. And so it's 2 years. He was a four stringer. You had to reward him. They did. He signed. What happens? Brossois gone. Quick's gone. I mean, the rats are leaving.
Yeah.
But
now he's a chance.
And you still got Leonard under contract.
And,
so
and here's the thing: Leonard is a fabulous goaltender.
Yeah.
He's got some.
I don't know how much he's got left in the tank. Anyway, Aiden Hill's your starter now. Anyway.
Yeah, but I you know what? I would see. You know what? My prediction is shared duty.
Yeah, actually.
season.
Well, when I say starter, and in fact, you just took the words right out of my mouth, because nobody.
At no point was shared out of your mouth. It was not in your mouth. Was he's the number one guy? And I said
Yes,
it,
I
and
did
now-
say
yeah,
that.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I was just about to say,
okay.
and then you jumped in, taking the words right out of my mouth, is that shared duty is more a product right now of where you have to go at your goaltending. The days of 60-22 are no
Right.
longer. You can't do it. And I don't believe, and I think history has shown us in the last number of years of these cup runs, Vasilevsky had a number of goaltenders back him up. I mean, he carried the mail. He was definitely the starter.
Yeah.
But you're not dealing with that same scenario here necessarily in Aiden Hill, but what he did, and with the contract you've given him, you now have elevated him to that status where you're going to sink or swim with him, barring a real return to form in some way, shape, or form of Robin Leonard. Worst case scenario, You just go down the depth chart and grab somebody else out of the 3 and 4 hole and
Right.
see what happens. Like they did Aiden Hill, and he went on a hell of a run, and he was in the Conn Smythe discussion. So Marcia Show is their only guy. Everybody else is under contract, Chris, for the next 2, 3, 4 years or beyond.
Well, in March, so as
He's got
great,
1 year to
as,
go.
As great of a playoff as he had,
Yeah.
right? He's an older guy too.
35, I believe.
So
Yeah.
he's gonna be, if he resigns with them,
Yeah.
okay, and he probably wants to finish because he started there. I mean, he was an original. So he didn't start there.
Yeah.
He was an original. When they franchised, he was an original.
They grabbed him off the Florida scrap heap who were trying to save other guys and voluntarily gave him up.
My guess is he wants to finish his career there.
I would imagine probably anybody coming off a cup winner, or most would.
Well, and he's a bit of a celeb there now.
Yeah.
Which means he could have a, as often happens, they get the public appearance, they get the job with the organization.
Yeah.
In retirement.
Yeah.
Okay. So he signs maybe a 2-year deal as a you know what I mean. Okay, and maybe plays out 2 years, and in that 2 years does a lot more children's hospital trips, and you know what I mean.
He's exactly where Daniel Albertson was here, albeit with a cup and a Conn Smythe.
When
Alfie didn't get there, but
yeah.
Alfie had a final under his belt. He was a legacy player. He's now been acknowledged as one of the all-time greats by being inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Got a gold medal, all the rest. Everyone knows his resume. But this is what him and his agent were negotiating with Brian Murray and the late Eugene Melnick. It was give me 1 year at 7 or 2 at 12. Marcia Show is coming off a very nice deal for Vegas. He's got 1 year to go to unrestricted, so we'll see what they do. Point is, everybody else is locked up, man.
Yeah.
Well, man, I think Martinez may have 1 year. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but
what
Martinez he's done. Like Martinez, listen, his best years were in LA.
Yeah.
Like I mean, he's gone. Like I'm not trying to be.
No. You know what? McNabb and Whitecloud are going to pick up more and more here of the ice time going forward, and we'll see what happens. I mean, they could have a cup hangover and whatever, but bottom line is though, they do look like they are built to be
for a few more years.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They really are, and Aiden Hill is a huge part of that. So I mean, DeBrincat doesn't want to be here. We'll see what happens if they. You got the other thing I've always worried about that, Chris, because we've heard this before many times in hockey history where somebody doesn't want to be there. So like you want to move them. Like you don't want anybody. I don't know the culture of the room. I think in the room, I think these guys they'll be fine because the way it works today, unlike back in the day, I think everyone's going, go get your. You take care of yourself, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
You go get what you. Well, while you're here, let's go out and play hard.
Thing.
Yeah, some of them, some of them will. But so I don't think there's any like begrudging because he's saying that. And who knows? Like some people.
Well, and to be fair, he's not saying it, and his lawyer is being the mouthpiece.
Yeah, his agent.
His agent, whatever.
If he's a lawyer or not. They probably are. They probably all have to be today. I don't know.
Well, the way things are. I mean, all the legalese that goes in.
Yeah, no, for sure.
For
sure. Yeah.
The days of how much you want to make. You know what I mean? Gone.
He had a slow start, and then when he got going, where he scored the bulk of his goals there, when he got going, you could see how he had the 2 40-goal seasons in Chicago, albeit playing with Patrick Kane. So I think there's some speculation. But the thing here about Ottawa is they do have a nucleus up front that looks really solid, and I mean it is kind of a make or break. It is for Dorian and DJ minimally, if not some of the other players. I mean, I don't know if they were to miss the playoffs the 7th year in a row. I think there'll be massive implosion here. But
listen, I don't think they're going to have the opportunity to get to the playoffs if they're not playing well.
Yeah.
So if they have a early season the way they've had, because basically, let's face it, they for some reason in the month of November and December,
November
they shit the bed so badly.
Last 3 years in particular.
Yeah, and so I don't think they're going to get past Christmas.
No,
I don't think management. Okay, the GM or the coach will get past Christmas if they come out of the gates that way.
Because you've got a natural break with the Swedish trip.
Yeah.
So you've got a break of days before that, which I think it's like a mini Christmas break, mini All-Star break, where a lot of other teams kind of make decisions. Okay, let's see how we're doing by Christmas. Let's see how we're doing by the All-Star break.
Yeah.
And that will determine what we do with the trade deadline as the season progresses.
Yeah.
Ottawa's case here, and obviously with the other teams that are going over, There's 4 in total, I believe. They all now are going to have this break, then go over, play their 2 games, and come back and not play.
Yeah.
For 4 or 5 days. So you've got a built-in opportunity here to assess your team.
Yeah.
And see where you're at. And I think in this case here, that's going to be the coaching staff and potentially Dorian as well. Although,
Well, he's getting a lot of flack, eh? Like,
he's gotten lots of flack for years, but he just really, at the end of the day, other than if there's one area where they have really dropped the ball, it's been on their pro scouting side. Like their amateur scouting side.
Yeah, but he's the head of scouting. I mean, he's the GM, but
no, he's a general manager. The buck stops with him.
Right? No, but because he came out of scouting.
He came out of scouting,
right? And but I'm pretty sure that he runs the scouting organization. He doesn't.
No, but as a GM, you're not making the rounds like a scout would. You have to rely on the staff.
Yeah, I don't know.
The buck stops with you, so he's got to be responsible for it. But I mean, like I'm saying, the Montreal Canadiens basically fired their entire physiotherapy and medical staff.
Yeah.
I mean, they
were touching players.
No, thank God.
Okay.
No,
okay,
but I mean,
you never know.
With the man games lost to injury,
right,
in the last couple of years, and
they think that was the reason.
Well, this was something that was done actually 15, 16 years ago. Montreal did the same thing. They had the exact same type of scenario where they led the NHL in man games lost. They made a wholesale change in the medical department, including the infrastructure of it, and.
Right.
And other than Dr. Mulder will be there until he passes away. But everybody else, or I don't know about everybody else, but a couple of key guys were let go. And I think you'll see that here in Ottawa. If they stumble out of the gate, as you just said, there will be no waiting period here. Everybody's been saying it online too. I'm not the first guy to say it. Yeah. But there isn't going to be like, well, we outshot that team. We had a really solid 40 minutes, and we're going to get them next time. That's just not going to happen here. Yeah. So they'll be making some decisions, and some bodies will be moved, including Dorian's head will be in it. Yeah. But I really think considering he's probably the lowest paid general manager in the league. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I really think in the big picture, he hasn't done a horrible job. And it's just like...
Well, and for years, though, we gave him the benefit of the doubt in that he was able to work with, in some way, shape, or form, Eugene Melnyk.
Oh,
which
look, you deserve a gold star. Let's be honest. The guy made Harold Ballard look like a choir boy. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
And he's the worst owner.
Was he a good singer?
Harold could belt out a tune.
He was like
I already really knew.
He was not much of a dancer.
He loved the rodeo song.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, sorry, maybe that was me.
Yeah, that was,
but here comes Johnny.
It is 40 below.
It is 40 below. It's got a heater in the truck.
It's actually you know what? We should do that some night. Do that song. We'll do the fire. I was going to have a fire tonight, actually.
Yeah.
Because the fire ban is off. I was going to have a fire because it's not hot enough.
You had a sweater or something.
I know. It's just we got this. We're both sweating profusely. We got the glow. It's these hot lights of the studio.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with the fact it was Canada Day yesterday.
That's right. And you're sweating.
We're in the midst of a 4-day weekend.
It's when you wipe your brow and it's 40 proof.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, Jesus Christ. There's half the alcohol's in my system, but the other half's coming out.
The only other thing to finish up, Chris, on free agency, Vegas did nothing. Obviously, they just signed their guys. Nashville, signed the World. There were some interesting moves. Like I said, Ottawa, I think, made a great pickup in Korpisalo. I think it's a gamble, but it's one that had to be made. They improved their goaltending minimally on paper. I think that's a good move. Really, the Canadian teams didn't do much, man.
No,
there wasn't much done, but Toronto just got Bertuzzi, and that's the biggest splash probably by any Canadian team right now. Winnipeg and Calgary are reeling, trying to get their rosters somewhat set, like with so many bodies, like the Exodus. Blake Wheeler leaving, that's a big loss. But in some respects it is, in some respects it's not. But you've got that whole bridge to be mended from Rick Bonus's post-game press conference. What's going on with Hellebuck is the biggest thing in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Calgary, new coaching staff, including, by the way, local product, Mark Savard.
Okay.
Who played in golf the same day you did.
There,
at Rideau View.
You were telling me that there was, and I thought, and I said, What is he? Is he giving? Like, is he quitting? Like altogether?
Yeah.
Well, that was my thought. I thought that was going to be what was happening. He was.
They've told him that 2 years he's going to be associate coach. Whether Todd Hushka's still there or not, but I mean, there's a brand new coach in the NHL in Calgary. Obviously, a new GM, Craig Conroy. You bring a Ginla back in.
Right.
Their big splashes come off the ice.
Right.
Their challenge, of course, is to get Huberdeau going at 10.5. I mean, you got to get something going with that guy.
You know what? And I think he will. I think at the end of the day,
sure,
it was it was
no
a
question.
Sutter
I
issue.
think so too. Yeah. I think so too. And let's be honest. Despite him being a French Canadian kid, you're coming from Florida, going to Calgary. It's an adjustment.
Oh,
it's an adjustment. So willing to give him a benefit of the doubt. I think Vancouver have got just a fantastic nucleus. They are right there really with Ottawa in terms of a group of forwards. I think.
Yeah.
I think they are.
But both teams and I obviously Ottawa more. I know Ottawa more. The depth on the third and fourth lines is where I like. That's where games.
For sure.
That's where games are won and lost, though.
Yeah,
especially in the regular season. Like that third and fourth line has got to be able to, either shut down or produce.
Yeah.
That's really what they got to do. I mean, there's no question that they have the firepower in the first two lines, so they need one or two guys on each of those lines that can do it all. That are Selke Trophy contenders, but also have the ability to turn the puck around and put it in the net.
Yeah, listen, that's every coach's wish list, and it's very, very difficult to go out and acquire those guys. By the time now with 32 teams, and you're through 6 sets of forwards, that's 180. It's 192 forwards on your top 2 teams.
You're really good at math, by the way.
Not really, but but I was good at multiplication as a kid.
It was,
maybe that number's wrong, but I think it's right.
No,
192. So now you're into the next tier of forwards to fill out your third and fourth line. You've gone way down on a depth chart, and yet at the end of the day, there's still going to be 2 teams that make the final, and in most cases, their third and fourth lines will be somewhat responsible for getting there. So that is a challenge for all teams to find these guys that somehow can fit and get through the season and have the ability to play in the postseason, not just to get you there, but win a round, let alone 2, 3, or possibly 4. So it's just the most daunting task to try and get there. But I think the Leafs should waltz in the regular season again. I think Montreal will have a 15 to 18 point improvement and still miss the playoffs. But I just love the nucleus of youth that's burgeoning on that team.
So listen, there was talk about, and I don't know why I don't know why I read this or whatever. But someone's talking about, if we trade Suzuki, like I wouldn't trade that kid.
He's not being traded.
No, but I mean, I hear people talking about, this would be what you could do, and you could use, and Suzuki going over here would be great.
Yeah.
And this and that.
Doc got mentioned as trade bait for the Pierre-Luc Dubois scenario before he signed in LA, which to me, like big money to give to a guy who's showing tremendous potential, has not acquired more than 63 points in a season, who's left not one but 2 teams, right? He wanted out of Columbus. He wanted out of Winnipeg. Yeah. He tells everybody, allegedly, I don't know, I didn't talk to him on the phone. He didn't say, hey, Liam, I really want to go to Montreal. Yet, apparently it was out there for all to see and read was he really wanted to go to Montreal. And Canadian fans were just saying, okay, well, we're going to put him on the roster, maybe there. And then all of a sudden, boom, LA comes into the scenario, and there he goes there. Kirby Dach was being mentioned. Nick Suzuki's not going anywhere.
Oh, yeah,
he's their captain, signed long-term. They've got him on a great deal for a guy who I think is a point-per-game guy. Will do that potentially as early as this year, providing Caulfield can stay healthy. I think Caulfield will score 50, if not this season, in his future. No doubt in my mind about that at all. Marty St. Louis right now is the right coach for this
especially
team.
For Caulfield.
Especially for Caulfield, but I think for the nucleus, which are so young, they just their big move was trading Joel Edmondson, and so he's gone.
You know what I think we should do? We should send Caulfield a little preseason gift.
Yeah.
Okay. Elevator shoes. Okay. Because he's got big shoes.
Yeah.
He's got to fill some big shoes, and he'll look taller, especially in the press conferences.
Yeah. He's a tiny little guy.
He's a tiny little guy, and you know what?
He can wire a puck, man.
And you know what? And he can move.
You know what? He's almost pretty much identical in size to DeBrincat.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I thought DeBrincat was a little taller.
No.
Really?
They're virtually identical in size. They're identical in size. If they're off, it's by half an inch.
Really?
Like there's nothing between them, and DeBrincat at this point might be a tad heavier. I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
But and their games are somewhat similar, and they're both American kids. It's we'll see, but
Well,
I mean Cole Caulfield, and
he's delivering on a consistent basis. So, aside from being injured and last season, right? He got hurt midway.
He got hurt, but it wasn't an injury. Had Montreal been in a playoff spot, he wouldn't have come out of the lineup.
Played, yeah.
There's no problem. He would not have. It was voluntarily as much as it was Montreal said, hey, let's get it done now.
Right.
We're missing the playoffs. This way you're back for training camp.
Yeah.
And that's why he did his surgery, unlike numerous others on the Habs. Like Jack Guy's shoulder injury, like he blew it right out when he threw that shot.
And so but he's back. He's gonna be back this year.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Everybody right now. I don't know if Montreal is anybody still at this point. Still, where are we? July 2nd.
July 2nd.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I mean, Josh Anderson maybe still the high ankle sprain. They can linger.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think everybody's probably else. Slavkovsky, they've got video of him working out overseas.
Yeah.
With a Hab guy. So.
Well, he's got and I know you've voiced your opinion about people's opinions about Slavkovsky.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
This will be the year for him to.
Well, he has to improve. He has to stay healthy.
But to put those naysayers or whatever, to put them in their place.
Yeah, but
because
the naysayers, Chris, are 80% social media and 10% industry insiders and maybe 10% that are somehow directly involved with the Montreal Canadiens who are going, oh God, what'd we do? And
no, listen, the kid has ability. There's not a question.
You have to be a moron not to see
Yeah.
that he has immense ability, and there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Time will tell. You know, last year in the draft where he was taken first overall, if I'm not mistaken, 32 first-round picks, only 4 guys played a game.
Really, eh?
Yeah, only 4. So he played 39.
Yeah.
He played 39 games, and it's
and again, we talk about the youth getting in a little early, right? There's got to be a development curve.
The mistake, and it was again hindsight, was if they had to do it over again, they probably release him to the World Juniors, and let him go. The team at that point already, although they kind of hung around and kind of made things interesting the first half of the season, then it was a pretty fairly deep dive
decline
from that point on, and yet they still improved by 13 points despite losing 724 games to injury, which led the league, obviously. So had all those guys, including almost their entire starting roster, not gotten hurt, then do they make the playoffs? No, of course not. But they improved probably by 20 to 25 points, which is pretty substantial. That's why I think another 12, 15 to 20 points barring injury this year. And Kent Hughes even addressed that when he did his presser, saying, well, first things first, we're just hoping for health.
Yeah.
We're hoping for health here.
That's right, yeah.
But, no, Slavkovsky, to me,
I think he's going to...
is a blue chipper.
Yeah,
He's a blue chipper.
Absolutely. And you know what? He's still on that entry-level contract for another
19.
2 years. For another 2 years. Making, what, $900,000 a year?
9 and a quarter.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is. 8
I mean,
and a quarter. I'm not sure what he signed in Montreal.
Discount.
You
know what I mean?
That's the max. I don't even
even
know
if he just
they
sold
given
hot dogs in the Bell Center, he'd be worth it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean,
they sell a lot of hot dogs.
They used to have great hot dogs.
Well, they still do.
I haven't been to the new Bell Center, believe it or not. I've only been to the old Forum. That was the last time I've been to Montreal.
They steam them,
but
just
the
like
steamed hot dogs. You know what? And as a fat man who was once fatter, okay, that was the best part, right?
Yeah.
And you'd go to what was the name of that restaurant that was just down the street?
You had the Texan was right beside them.
the
Barbie Barn.
The Barbie Barn.
Yeah.
So we'd go to the. I remember going there and we'd go to the Barbie Barn, and then afterward we go to this club. I can't recall the name of it.
It was a super club.
Super club.
Yeah.
It was a super club, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why I learned to speak French.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely. Ben oui.
S'il vous plaît.
Yeah, exactly. It's Anyway, listen, we're good. Well, that's enough of this.
Is there anything else on free agency that we?
Nothing yet. Like there'll be a few things because there's a few lingerers.
Oh yeah,
out
no,
there.
this is
it's gonna go on for another little.
But you still got the Austin Matthews extension. Will be the next probably skate to drop at some point between now and whenever. They'll get it done. They didn't move him, so they're
So let's say they
gonna
do
roll it back.
Let me ask you this, and I don't know how this works.
What's the number going to be? Oh my God.
Well, what if the number's the same, but he gets a signing bonus?
No, it
You
can't.
you
No,
can't?
signing bonus counts under the cap now.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, it counts under the cap. So,
that's no good.
it's like Aiden Hill, that $4 million signing bonus.
We need to get him an endorsement deal through a friend. Like, here's a $50 million endorsement deal that you just got. By the way, you're playing for $6 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Dubas, had he stayed, would have found a way to give Matthews this alleged $14 million that he wants.
Yeah.
I don't know if Tree Living's going to do it, but everything's still on the table. But the fact now he's got a full no move. So now he calls the shots. And this is very reminiscent, heading down the path of the Muskoka Five. Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I don't think he wants to stay.
Matt
in Toronto.
Sundin, who's loved by all, that wear the blue and white,
Yeah.
ultimately screwed Toronto by not agreeing to take it and said, I'll never play for another team. And as soon as his papers were signed, and he could get out, he went to Vancouver. He couldn't get there fast enough.
Well, but he thought he was going to win a cup in Vancouver. Let's be fair. Guys do things for the sake of winning a cup, right?
Maybe, yeah.
That they wouldn't do. Now, had he had the blessing of, you know what? One of the classiest things I've ever seen, I'll be honest with you, was Boston sending Ray Bourque to the Avalanche to win a cup.
Yeah.
That was honestly, and then re-signing him for a one-day contract so he can retire as a Bruin.
Oh yeah, and Alfie did that here in Ottawa too. I mean, that's become the norm. A lot of guys have done that. But I mean, when he won the cup, he brought it back to Boston.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it wasn't like screw you. It was, hey, I want you guys to, because you've been so supportive of me.
Well, this is the thing, and that was the thing about, and they did that for him.
Yeah.
They did that for him. I mean, he added value to that.
Oh, for sure. And look, they didn't win that cup that first year,
You know what I
right?
mean?
He had to stay that second year, and before he got that cup in Colorado. So it was. You're right. It was quite a move. Obviously in a higher profile than it was Ottawa moving Mike Fisher to Nashville.
Right.
Because of Carey Underwood, the aforementioned Carey Underwood.
That's right.
So Ottawa did Fisher a huge favor, much like Boston did.
That's right.
Ray Bourque. Obviously, you're talking about two different players.
Yeah.
But similar scenarios, and that's been done in the history of hockey many times as well. So but in this case here, it was just so unbelievable to see Joe Sakic hand the Stanley Cup to Ray Bourque.
Yeah.
Was pretty special. Let's be honest.
And here's the thing: even though he was wearing a big foot on his crest, I still.
You see the spoke bee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ray Bourque. So when the very first season of the Ottawa Senators, right? I had seasons tickets, and I went just to see other teams, right? And Boston would come often because that was the way it. And to watch Ray Bourque play that hockey game, he was a beautiful. I never got to see Orr play in person, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I saw Ray Bourque.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you,
how good must Bobby have been?
How good must Bobby Orr have been?
Yeah, because he's the de facto number one of all time, and Ray Bourque, to me,
he's probably not in the top 10.
Ray Bourque's in my top 10.
Oh, okay.
I can tell you right now, I've got him. I defer. I got Doug Harvey and Eddie Shore in my top 3 with Bobby because I just think it's absolutely asinine to not or to discount what both of them did in their careers. And it's just so easy to forget because they played so many years ago, especially in Shore, you're talking a century ago. Yeah. But if you're going to ignore 4 Hart trophies and the Stanley Cups he won and the first All-Star teams, then that's just somebody just not then don't say you're picking an all-time list.
No, exactly. It's not
you're picking a list from post-1970 or something. Take Orr or take Shore and Harvey out of it. But I've got Denny Potvin, Ray Bourque, and Nick Lidstrom are my next 3 guys.
Yeah.
So, they're my next 3, and then I got Larry Robinson. So, we very quickly get to a top 10, but I mean...
Now, is Brad Park...
Yeah, I got him next.
Yeah, okay.
I got him next. You almost got my entire top 10.
Well, we share the
Scott
same...
Niedermeyer.
We share the same grouping. I used to love Brad Park, too, eh?
How can you not? How could you not love that guy? I know he was a Bruin fan.
But even when he was the Rangers... you know what? So I had.
Well, for me, everything changed after '72. I mean,
because he was. Yeah, it was. But I had this thing, and it was in the '70s, right? Yeah. It was a little thing that you turn around, and it was a video, of him teaching defensive moves, and I was a forward, but I watched this thing, right? Because you know how I used to tell myself, okay, you're Bobby Orr, you're Bob, you know what I mean? I was it was being a visionary long before that, and then and then the other voice in my head going, what are you stupid? Well, anyway, but Brad Park was a beautiful defense, and the way he was able to angle guys out and take them out, I thought was brilliant. And he was teaching this on these videos, and they had
look
to
at the name of his book,
thing.
Play the Man.
And it crank, and I used to do it, and every time it would click a picture, you know what I click? Click, and you'd get to.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just thought he was great, and then when he went to Boston, it was like, this is everything's going. You know what I mean? Everything is going to work out now.
Because him and Orr were together for a handful of games, and it's one of the. You want to talk about the robberies as fans that we've had, for us that are older to remember that time period. Even as a Montreal fan, not having Brad Park and Bobby Orr play longer together was a real shame. It's a real shame.
Well, you know what? There's a lot of things that if you say, "Wow, if this could have happened,"
for sure.
You know what I mean? Can you imagine? But at the end of the day, they all made their marks, right? And leading back to the hockey awards in our previous episode. Okay, they did it with humility.
Yeah.
They did it with humility,
and that's mostly a Canadian thing, I think. Canadians lead the way in that, and now other hockey
players. Have you met our Prime Minister?
Okay, good point.
He's full of humility.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, for Canadian hockey, anyway.
Yeah.
Canadian hockey players are typically very much that way. And the draft just happened, and our numbers are diminishing, but still, it's 39% of the draft, 86 out of 224 is Canadian-born.
Yeah.
And the number one feeder system, the NHL draft, was 80 guys from major junior hockey.
Yeah.
So more than anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, the next down was the United States Junior Hockey League at 26 or 27 guys or something. So
now the Manotick Men's Night Hockey.
Yeah, there was a few guys that
couple guys in contention.
They were almost.
Was that the Sunday night open?
They said, look, the 30 and over, we want the sexy. We want the 50 and over.
That's exactly. Well, you know what? If you're going for point per game, we know who the winner was that one is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'll give you a hint. He's got gray hair and he's fat.
And he's been sitting on his panel, and it's not me.
It could be somebody else. But anyway, that's it. We have no more to talk about. We'll be back again. We're going to come back. We're going to do a midsummer State of the Union address, and then we're going to start talking about a few things that are outside of hockey until hockey comes back. So wait till you hear some of the great, exciting things, including some golf tournament news, and there's other stuff, right?
Oh,
we're traveling.
Yeah.
We're going to go on the road. We're getting sponsors. And by the way, if you'd like to be a sponsor, please follow, and all the other stuff that you do. It sounds like kindergarten. Would you like to share?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But do all of that stuff. If you're still watching at the end of this,
yes,
like and share, motherfuckers. Okay?
Kudos to you if you made it all through that.
You made it through. All right. This has been Offside with Hawes and McGuire. I am Hawes.
I'm McGuire.